Hello, my name is Gary Daynes. I am the producer of this podcast series. We are on the back porch talking higher education. Thank you for listening. I am joined by my spouse and business partner, Dr. Gary Daynes. He is the host of this podcast series. He is also an author who has just launched his second book called How to Be a Small College. Gary, welcome.
Thanks, Christine. It's good to be with you today and to talk about the book.
Yes, tell us about the book. Why did you write it?
Well, I wrote How to Be a Small College for a bunch of reasons. One is that I've spent the bulk of my career working at small colleges. I've consulted with dozens of small colleges, and I wanted the opportunity to tell their story. The second reason is that if you pay attention generally, you would think that small colleges are universally in crisis. And while it's certainly true that many small colleges are facing difficult times, I wanted to be able to point to the things that small colleges do that helps them overcome crisis, to avoid crisis, to flourish in times of difficulty. And I guess the third reason is that I wanted to speak to my colleagues at small colleges to say there are certain things that you can do to protect yourself against the difficulties of these times and to flourish in the future. And they are often things that small colleges haven't been doing recently. So I wanted to share those insights as well.
Tell us in general, what are some of these things that colleges can do to avoid being in crisis?
Well, so let me start by giving my own view of why it is that we are in a period of crisis for small colleges. So it's certainly true that the number of students going to college is declining. There's greater skepticism about the value of a college education. There's a greater desire for a college education to lead directly to jobs outcomes. And big public universities are more competitive than ever. So all those things are true. But I would argue that one of the things that's led small colleges to be in a period of difficulty is that over the last 20 or 30 years, they have forgotten how to be small, or to say it a different way, they have mimicked large universities in ways that are no longer effective for small colleges.
What do you mean? What are some of these ineffective ways?
So there was a time in the late 1990s and the first decade of the 20th century when college enrollment was growing. And during that time, small colleges did the sort of thing that you would expect them to do. They added programs, they added activities, they added sports, all in an effort to grab more students in the market. And that was fine when there were more students going to college and when the economy was strong enough to make it possible for many of those students to go to small independent colleges. Well, times have shifted, and it's left small colleges now looking like small, poorly resourced versions of big universities. They have too many programs, too many activities, and they don't do many of those things well. Now, that's partly a problem just on the operational side, but I would say it's even more a problem because over that time, as schools were adding and adding and adding programs, many of them lost sight of who they are, what their mission is, the things that make them distinctive, the things that only they can do, or the students that only they can serve well. So part of the future flourishing of small colleges will have to rely on small colleges letting go of the things that are no longer necessary, focusing ever more intently on their mission and on the students they serve best, and being willing to say to their publics, we do these things and we do them well. If you want them, come here. If you're looking for something else, there are all sorts of other good opportunities for you to find that other thing at other universities.
You talk in the book about the potential for an emergence of a renaissance for small colleges. What do you mean by that, and why should we be hopeful?
Well, I think there are all sorts of reasons to be hopeful. One of them is that even at a time when many small colleges are closing, there are super interesting small college startups springing up all over the United States and doing things that make all sorts of sense, which you wouldn't necessarily expect them to do. So, for instance, there's a school in Steubenville, Ohio, that's just opened called the College of St. Joseph the Worker that merges a deep, intense classical liberal arts education with the trades. That's something that lines up very clearly with the mission of that institution, with Catholic social teaching about the value of work, and it is a distinctive offering. So that's one thing that I think should make us encouraged. A second is that you see existing small colleges finding ways to operate more efficiently. So the press occasionally will mention mergers between institutions. And those are certainly interesting, but equally interesting are small colleges cooperating to share faculty members, to share CFOs, to share software, all of those things to make it possible for the expenses of that institution to shrink so they can devote more of their resources to educating students. And then I think the third thing that you see is schools all across the political spectrum and all across the array of higher education purposes refocusing on their mission. So you see this with faith-affiliated institutions, but you also see it with community colleges who are very deeply committed to the actual neighborhoods that they serve. So that recommitment to mission, to decide to be something more distinctive and powerful than just like, hey, we're a school that educates people. That, for me, is a sign of hope. Now, that hope doesn't mean that small colleges are going to just grow and become larger. In fact, I don't think that's the future for most small colleges. But what it does mean is that they will be ever better at serving the students they serve, helping those students achieve the outcomes that they promise, and operating in an efficient, effective way in order to be able to keep the doors open day after day, week after week, year after year.
Thank you, Gary, for giving us a glimpse into your book. I look forward to you bringing guests on the show.
Thank you, Christine. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. I look forward to talking with guests and to hearing from our listeners. So thank you.
If listeners are interested in these ideas, they can learn more from the blog at backporchconsulting.net. And of course, there is the book itself called How to Be a Small College. We have been on the back porch talking higher education. Listeners, please continue to join us as we support work that enlivens small places and small organizations.